Hi guys, how's it going? And with me always is my co-host, Mr. Johnny Noise.
How's everybody doing? We got a pretty killer show for you tonight. Henry and I are really excited about it. Buckle up, people. It's going to be a crazy ride. I'll let Henry do the introductions.
We'd like to welcome back to the show Mr. Max Boost of Max Boost and the Power Ups.
How's it going, everybody?
How's it going, man?
Doing pretty
All
good.
right.
That's good. That's good, man. So let's talk about your latest CD, On a
Right
Mission.
on.
So, how did you come about deciding to go from your last album into a straight up funk CD?
Yeah, so for me, usually this kind of stuff isn't like a real conscious decision I make. It's just kind of what happens. So at any given time, at least 10 to 15 songs in the works, right? And so some of the songs on this album I wrote quite a while ago, and it was just, time to put them all together once I had enough that felt like they fit the same vibe to be an album. And yeah, I've always been a huge fan of funk, so I realized I had like 5 or 6 of these funk songs that were ready to go, and then I was like, I might as well just finish it up, make a couple new ones. So yeah, I combined a couple old songs I had laying around and wrote some new ones specifically to fit on this record, and that's kind of how it came about.
Awesome, awesome.
That's pretty cool. So I've told Henry, I pulled up some of your clips. I got to kind of see your studio and some of your stuff and what you do. And for those of you who don't know, is you are a one man show kind of with all of your
Yep.
equipment. And I told Henry, there's no, I mean, I wouldn't have the patience and coordination to do all that stuff, but it was really interesting to see some of the stuff. It is cool as hell. I mean, if you guys have not seen any of this stuff, you got to check it out. I was really impressed with some of the stuff you did, and it is kind of funk based. I think you did a Primus cover too on one of your little clips. That was kind of cool. But
Yeah.
it was cool, man. And I kind of really, I really dug the way your studio was set up too. I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, thanks. So, it took me a while to figure out how to go from like making stuff one little part at a time to actually being able to sort of perform some of the stuff with the live looping stuff. So, still a lot of the music when I'm recording, right? I just record one track at a time. But after I'd been doing that for a couple of years, I realized I needed to start figuring out how to live, both for videos and, playing gigs out in the real world. So, it took me a while. I've been a performer for a long time, but the solo thing, yeah, it definitely took some, creativity, and watched a lot of YouTube videos and stuff on how people do this kind of stuff.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. So, this album has a couple of covers on it. How
Yeah.
did you come to decide to do to choose and do those covers that you did?
Yeah. So both of those were kind of random things. So, one of the covers is the Ghostbusters theme song, right? And I'm like a huge Halloween fan. So every year I put out something for Halloween. And it was actually like 2 years ago, I just made this short, like just sort of video to share online, cover of the Ghostbusters shit in time for Halloween. So then last year on Halloween, I like finished it into a proper release, and it just like, it was kind of a funky song. It felt like it fit the vibe, but that song for, and the Macarena, which is definitely a weird song to cover for like a rock and roll guy like me. So that one, I'm in a group of music producers that hang out online. And we have these monthly songwriting challenges, and one of the prompts for songwriting or for doing a production was, I've always arena had like just this cool fucking groove, and I was like, what if I try to do that? And so that was another one where I did like a mini version of it to share. And then I fleshed it out into a later song for this. Cause like after I'd recorded that little bit, I was like, man, I could really make this song like fun and funky.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, because I was kind of when I saw the Macarena on there, I was like, okay, everything
Yeah.
that's
Where we going?
going on in the neighborhood right now is gonna stop.
How did you
Yeah.
the interstellar road trip?
Yeah.
What part of your brain figured that part out? I mean, that's some funky stuff right there, man.
Okay. That one was really fun. So, I had recorded, so just like for up a random instrumental jam, you know, with no real intention. And like just in one take, I recorded me playing the bass part. And then I recorded a couple guitars over it. And then I just like put up just that instrumental. I shared it online and I said like, what should this song be about? And just that follow me on Instagram, the person said like, that reminds me of like, you know, sitting on your back porch having a somebody else said like her song, and then somebody was like, oh, it sounds like you're fueling up your spaceship for an interstellar road trip. And I was like, holy shit, that sounds awesome. So just based on those three comments, I like wrote the song around that. And like
That's
once
awesome.
somebody, yeah, so it didn't like for it to be for like a fun space adventure, but once somebody, I could definitely write that. And then it was really pretty quick. I just kind of like and came up with it. Yeah. And like I'm a big like sci-fi whatever fantasy nerd, so
Sci-fi.
yeah.
We could never tell from some of the stuff in your studio there that you were a sci-fi guy.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah,
I
so
have a question about. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, so that song was Interstellar Road Trip, and then the one after that on called Intergalactic Hoedown, and like that one was another one where I had originally made a little mini song that had completely different lyrics. But after I wrote Interstellar Road Trip, I was like, you know what? I should make these two songs like a pair and do another one that's about like space and stuff. So I try to do that on my albums where I have, you know, like songs that come in pairs, and like I try to like move through, you know, like try to have the album not just be a collection of random songs that just have the same vibe, but like they actually have themes that run from one part of the song, or, you know, one part of the album to the next through the songs.
Yeah, I noticed that. Lucid Dreams goes into Morning Touch. You know, which is pretty cool.
Right. Yeah.
And I did want to ask about that track, The Whale, the Abyssal Depths remix. Now, is it a remix because there's a different version of it out there, or is it just something that you had and you had to do like a certain type of remix to it before you put it out?
Yeah, that song's got a really fun story. So, you know, a little bit before I mentioned I'm part of one of the challenges was to like remix, you know, just different, all of us producers like uploaded stuff and people could just pick one to do a remix or remake of it. And this lady, Dandelion, she's like a kind of electronic music producer. She had just had this song called The Whale that was just like a 1 minute long of us ended up remixing it. And so, you know, I added stuff to it, made it like a lot longer. But there's actually a whole EP that's all remixes of that song. But just the version I did, like just, it was just like one of the easiest projects I've ever worked. The underlying part of the song that I use, like it's, you know, part is like all I took. Felt so funky. That was like one of the sparks. That was one of the first songs that got this album going, I think. But yeah, the lyrics were written by somebody else for that one.
Somebody else. So when you're when you're putting your stuff together, when you're looping everything together, just so kind of people understand how it's done, what's the process like getting your the drum beat going first and coming in with like a bass line and then filling in, so you have your like a click track, so to speak, then you kind of layer over that and you just keep on looping over it until you get the sound you want, or yeah, it's a process. So, and it's a probably time consuming process to get all that stuff put together, and then to have it come out you know the way you want to sound it, have it come out in time. And oh, I think we lost them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost him.
Yeah.
Hang on, guys. Let's see if we can get him back. Yeah, we're having a little Wi-Fi issue. We'll get it worked out here in a second, and we'll get it figured out. But yeah, I mean the stuff he does is crazy, and we'll make sure everybody has access, to the links and stuff to go pull
Yeah.
stuff up and take a look at it, because it is really really cool stuff, and it, very theatrical. It's very theatrical, and the music as well.
Yeah.
It's
Very entertaining. Very
it's cool.
entertaining.
Yeah. There's no doubt. So we're hopefully we can get him back here in a second. See what see if we can get him returning from his interstellar road trip
Yeah.
off in digital land somewhere. It's definitely a signal issue.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So because he was getting a bit pixelated, and then, but we'll be okay. We'll keep on clicking along. We'll get it right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Definitely.
Here we go. We're back.
Here we go.
Sorry
All
about that,
right.
guys. I don't know if you can hear me
back,
yet.
Here we are.
back again.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just my little internet connection's a little bit
Audio is
slow
a
up
little
here.
off. Uh-oh.
You have me here.
Yeah, it's definitely
It's yeah.
the Wi-Fi connection. Oh, froze up.
Okay. He cleared up. Can
Yeah.
you hear us?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me yet?
Yeah, we can't hear you. Oh shoot. Here we go.
There you go.
He's gonna reconnect.
Yeah.
Apologies for the technical difficulties, folks.
Yeah.
But
All
we'll
right,
get it.
now can you hear me?
Now we got
Yeah.
you.
Now we got you.
All
It
right.
might take a second or two for you to show back
get
up. We
the
can hear
video.
you,
Yeah.
but
All right.
yeah, it might take a second or two for you to pop back up, but we can hear you.
All right. How we doing now? Sorry about that.
No,
It's all
you're good,
right.
dude.
That,
No, we got clear audio on you, just not a visual.
yeah.
Yeah, not sure what's going on there.
Okay. Well, we
But
can hear you, so
we
we'll
can
just
still
keep
roll
the
with it.
interview going.
Yeah, we'll roll with it, and um, we got some good shots and all that stuff. We'll we can still roll with it, and hopefully it'll correct itself. But
All right.
yeah, at least we can hear you because you were fading in and out with your audio just a little bit. So I'd rather have the audio nice and clear. So,
What's
um, but go ahead,
at
Henry.
the
You
full?
had a question?
I
Yeah.
don't know why it's going slow.
Yeah. Well, so my next question is, I know you do most of the instruments yourself, but were there any additional musicians on this release?
I don't think that I had anyone else play any instruments on this one. So there's a guest vocalist on Lucid Dreams. That's somebody else. She gave a little bit of feedback on some of the production, but and she wrote the lyrics for the first like 2/3 of the song. I finished it. And then the whale obviously was somebody else did the lyrics and the lead vocal, and there was one synth part I used, but all of the rest of the songs I think I did everything.
Oh, okay. So you just had guest vocalist, but all the musician or all the musicianship was you playing.
Yeah, it was all the instruments and everything were me.
Awesome.
I think on
Awesome.
my next record, on my next record, which I'm already partially way through, I'll have a few more guest musicians on there.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Fucking what
Oh,
the
Oh,
fuck?
we lost him.
I wonder if it would be easier to do like you're on your phone.
Yeah.
You got him on his phone closer into where his Wi-Fi thing is, and then we can uh, kind of click on from there. Because he can click. We can keep what we got, keep going, and then just have him pull up his email on his phone, and then take his phone closer into where the Wi-Fi is, and just do it over the phone. Because it comes out pretty good on yours. It's
Yeah.
nice and clear. So it just wouldn't be a studio shot, but that's fine. This way we can at least have some good audio and good video.
Yeah.
See, I got the opposite problem. Is my tower is in my studio, which is fine, but sometimes it affects my recordings because it's picking up that signal, and you get this kind of growl, and it's because the tower's like right here. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It gets kind of crazy, and you don't hear it on the playback. You hear it when you're trying to record something. Then when you play it back, it's not there. So it's just a weird thing. I know it picks it up for sure. When it's throwing out that signal, we'll probably get a microwave in our brains anyway from all this stuff. So, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, uh,
Definitely.
all this electronics and all these signals cruising around your house and this, that, and the other. And, we're probably cooking ourselves. So, you got to
Yeah.
go sometime. Might as well, all right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Can you?
I burned through these questions. I've got one more question for him,
Yeah,
and then
we could take it from the top, maybe. Let's see if we can get it back.
oh, here he is. There. All
All
right.
right, we're gonna try it on the phone this time. Maybe
That's
that'll
what we
work
were
better.
talking about that.
Yeah, we were
Yeah, we were
just
just
talking
talking about
about
that.
that.
Yeah, you still have a good shot, so we're good.
All right.
So
All
I think
right.
Seems to be actually
yeah,
working
yeah.
smoother on my end. So
That's
That,
good. That's good.
but that's
Yeah, I
that's
do.
fine. Yeah,
I
we
do. Well, I was gonna say I do everything through my phone. So,
Okay.
uh, yeah. So it's just a lot easier. I think if I were to do it from a laptop or something, it might, with the Wi-Fi and everything. I don't know, but the Wi-Fi on my phone, it's really
still
good.
work better. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, this
yeah.
seems to be working a lot smoother for me.
Yeah,
So
you're not, look, dude, it's got a crystal clear picture, good audio, perfect. And we've had this before with, I think Christian Youngblood we had an issue with, and we just kept rolling with it, 'cause we're
yeah.
pretty casual about it. It's not there's no one
Yeah.
over there with a sound card over cut, reprint scene, we just roll with the program and just let it, because it's reality. Stuff happens. We
Right.
try to keep everything on the show, real.
Yeah, sounds
We
good.
just keep on going and say, hey, we're working it out and we're doing our thing. So, but you're back, which is cool. Henry, have another question. I'm going to clear my screen real quick and then jump back in.
Yeah. So remains to be seen. Dropped. Refresh my memory. Did that come out at the very end of the year, or did it come out at the very beginning of the year?
So remains to be seen. I think I released that. I don't remember actually. It was around May of 2024, I think. I kind of
Okay.
lose track because what I'll do is like I get the CDs made first and share the music with my
Oh.
fans and then put it online sometime out later.
Oh. Okay. Because
So
I
remains
guess
to be
that.
seen. That album was my second album. I finished that one. Like I finished it at the end of 2023, and then I think I must have got the CDs made and put the album out in early 2024. So it's been about a year.
Oh. Okay. Okay. I'm thinking. Well, I'm thinking because I think got. I caught on. I want to say right before the end of the year because
Yeah, that sounds
uh,
better.
you were like the when I started doing the interview conversation with. I want to say you were like the third person I interviewed, and but so so with that being said, about how long did it take to record and mix and sequence on a mission?
Yeah, so I got to look at the CD. The probably that I mean, so it was a little bit disjointed. I had so the second song on the album is called Level One Power Up. That one was actually a single that I released probably back in 2020. I don't even remember. That single has been out for 2 or 3 years. So that was the first song that I recorded on it, right? And it didn't fit at all on Remains to be Seen.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there was maybe one or two other songs that I had released earlier from On a Mission. But like once I decided like, okay, I've got like, I think I probably had 4 of the songs from On a Mission that were already released as singles. And then once I decided, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and like finish up this album, it took probably about 2 or 3 months. Like there was a couple of songs that I had that were just half finished ideas that saved on my hard drive so I could finish them up pretty quickly. And there was a couple that I wrote totally from scratch. So the second to last song I think is called Wilderness Adventure. That's one of the fastest songs I've ever written. I came up with like the bass line and added the guitars to it. And then about a week later or a couple weeks later, I finished the vocals. That song came together like real quick. So some of them come together real fast like that. Some of them it'll be like I'll have the guitar and bass parts written and it'll take me like 6 months to write the lyrics or whatever. But yeah, all in all, yeah, that like I said, so the oldest song on the album is probably about 3 years old, but some of them I wrote in just the last couple of months here.
That's pretty. Sometimes I found anyway. I know with my old band Crimson Carry, that's we just riffing, in a studio. So we rehearsed at a regular studio, and then the guy would record our practice sessions. We can go back if you forgot something or and we made something up literally out of thin air.
Right.
And we wound up turning into a song, and no one knew what we were doing. And the guy just
Yeah.
came out from behind the sound booth and said, "Keep going, keep going, keep going." I said, "I don't know what we're doing." He goes, what are you doing? Just keep going. And it turned, the singer totally ad-libbed the whole thing. Um, we all did. And sometimes, like
Right.
you said, it just happens. There's no plan, no nothing. You got this, you're goofing around, you got an idea, and it just turns into, and sometimes those are the best songs, like that pop in out of thin air. You know what I mean? There's no big production. You're not writing down chords and notes and this and that. You just like, your brain just does something and like click, and you start playing something, and it just turns into a song. It's, turns into a project literally out of nothing. And I think sometimes, those are some of the best impromptu, songs that just pop up out of nowhere. People, how'd you do that? I have no idea. No plan, no nothing. It just boom, magic.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that is one thing that I miss sometimes about being in a band. For 15 years I was like primarily the bass player or some other rhythm instrument player, like in other people's bands. And I do miss that, like just times when you're just, I start just playing something on the bass. Somebody just starts playing on the drums. And if you got like a good enough singer, they'll just start, singing whatever.
Right.
Yeah, the last band I was in right before I, stopped and started doing the solo thing was kind of a psychedelic funk jam band type of thing. And we had quite a few songs like that. Me and the drummer would just start grooving on whatever. And then the other guitar players would start coming in with whatever. And the singer would just start making stuff up on the spot.
Yeah.
And, maybe later we'd refine it, but just jamming. That's how you come up with a lot of cool ideas.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Right, you jam it, and then you just format it a little bit. Put your break in. How many, your chorus, your verses, your bridge, and then you just add to it. But yeah, it just comes out of nowhere, and that was our that Sexy Tonic Gin song that we recorded was exactly that. It was just a drum beat and a bass thing, and like here it goes. But it seems a lot of the stuff you do with your creativity, it kind of seems like it just spills out of you. You know what I mean? It's not a lot of, you got your beat going, you start thumping a little bit, and then you just start to put all this stuff together. But I think from what I've seen on some of your clips, it just seems like it just happens. You just kind of feel whatever you're doing, because you speak a lot of some of your songs. You're kind of talking, during the song. It's just doing this a lyric type thing without actually singing, then kind of a back and forth. And I thought that's really cool. So it gives it that kind of back and forth dynamic for what you're doing with your music. So you were like narrating the song a little bit, so I was like, this is some wild stuff. And that's where the maybe some of the maybe Primus influence, or there's other artists that have done that where they sing the song, they're doing their thing, and then somewhere in the song they'll narrate, then we were walking down the street, you ought to see it, and then you go back to singing your song, like what's, so I think that's really a unique perspective from a performance level, and it gives your stuff specifically, it gives it from what I've seen and from what I appreciate from it, it gives it a different dynamic. You're not just some guy up there with a folk guitar singing about the grass is growing and how's your mama. You have this different perspective on music and how you interpret things, and that's the cool part, and that's what people have to see and understand. That from an artist, that is where you kind of got me hooked on. Oh yeah, I'm in on this spaceship ride for sure. We're gonna light the candle and go. So I think it's awesome, dude.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean you mentioned Primus. That's one of my biggest influences. Some of my favorite live shows of seeing Primus and Les Claypool's other bands, and like he just has this really great way of like, they'll just be jamming and he'll stop and he'll just like tell you this like little story about what this song's about, and then he'll just go right back into this hook or whatever. And it took me a while, but I figured out how to I talked about missing the band and the spontaneity of the jam, and I've, kind of just over the last year or so gotten comfortable with like doing this jamming, like live looping stuff by myself,
Right.
where just start doing that, and a lot of it is just ad libbed. So some of the videos will share, like before I hit record, I'll just play maybe just something on the bass, and like I'll have a drum loop loaded up, and then I'll be like, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just go, right? And then I'll just start playing the bass, and I'll pick up my guitar, and then just whatever's the first thing that pops into my head, I'll just try to start singing that, and just talking about it. And like it took me a while to get comfortable doing that and being able to sort of ad lib that way, especially with the vocals. But actually, the last song on this album, which is called Funky Once Again, or On a Mission, it was exactly that way. I actually first recorded that as just a live performance. And you can see that live performance on YouTube, where I had none of it pre-planned, none of it pre-scripted, except for that it was just, a pre-written drum loop. And I just started playing the bass line, and then I started playing the guitar, and I was just like, is this funky? Yeah, that's funky. And then I just started saying like, Max Boost up here, getting funky once again. And it was on a Friday, so I was like, yeah, we're getting funky on Friday morning, getting ready for the weekend. And then I just started like whatever, like ad libbing,
Right.
whatever. And then it was like, sometime later I was like, that was a cool jam. Like, let me just fix the lyrics a little bit, make it go somewhere.
Right.
But that's
right.
I try to figure out how to get into that like flow state where I just turn my brain off, and like, I've been playing music long enough that I can just like feel it and let it go.
Let it ride. Right. Gives it that vibe for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, one thing I did want to talk about real quick, your mixtape CD.
Yeah.
Now, was that kind of like a collection that you put together and just kind of put it out there as, like, I don't want to say it in between, but like maybe a step from Remains to Be Seen in between On a Mission, or
Yes. So that CD was actually made for like a very specific purpose. So one of the things that I do, maybe this is how you find me, but like I do this offer where I give away a free CD if you can just pay for like $5 for shipping, right? And that's a way for me to like just get my music out to people, like
yeah,
at a low cost. So I get somebody's actually buying a CD, so I know that you at least paid $5, you'll probably listen to it. When I started doing that, I was using my last album, Remains to Be Seen, as the free CD, and I kind of thought, it'd probably be better to have some sort of sampler CD, and also I want to like, maybe not give the album as a thing away for free. So my idea was to just make this mix CD where I took songs from the first two albums were released at a time, a couple songs that were going to be on a mission, and a couple songs that are just released as singles, and then one or two songs that are not even finished that are going to be on the upcoming album. And I just made that sampler CD just to give away to people online as a way to like get new fans. So I don't sell that CD on my like on my online store. I don't have that CD as an album on Spotify or anything like that. It's only a thing that you can get if you buy it from me, like from my website. And that's a way for me to, get people into my world, get you on my email list, get you interested in my other albums and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it was just, and I asked my fans on my email list what songs were their favorite songs, and those from my previous albums. And that's what I put on there.
awesome. Because I kind of wondered about that, because I of course got a copy of it, and when I got On a Mission, I heard Level One Power Up, and I was like,
Right.
I've heard this before. At least that track I had heard.
Yeah.
I think there's another one that's on there too.
Yeah, there's two songs from that album, maybe Lucid Dreams or something else, I forget. But yeah, so that
Yeah.
one's got two songs from each of my, well, it's got two songs from my last two album, one song from my first album, one song from, I got an acoustic EP that's like resonator, mandolin, just acoustic stripped down versions of stuff from my first couple albums. It's got a song from that on it, and then it's got a couple of songs that will be on my next album, and then one or two. It's got one of the like improvised jams that I just left at it as is without editing. That's on there, and then one that's like a total demo song where I wrote this song. This is one of the few songs where I wrote it just like lyrics and guitar, and I recorded a demo. But at some point, I'll re-record the whole thing. But I put that on the sampler CD so just people could get a flavor of like everything I do and could get some unreleased stuff that you can't hear on Spotify, you can't hear online or anywhere else.
That's awesome. So how can people that are like tuning in, maybe they didn't catch my first interview with you, how can they get a hold of Max Boost and the Power Ups CDs and merch and online, all that stuff? How can they
Right.
do that?
Yeah, so I'm Max Boost and the Power Ups or at Max Boost Power Up on Instagram. I'm pretty active on there, and you can find Max Boost and the Power Ups on Facebook. My website, pretty simple, maxboostandthepowerups.com. And so from my website, I've got buttons where you can get the free CD offer or buy any of my other albums, and check out or just join my email list. And I even if you don't do CDs, I have a for that for my last album, Remains to Be Seen, I did an online digital experience. It's totally free. All you got to do is sign up for my email list, and then you'll get an email every day for 6 days that take you on a journey through 2 of the songs. So yeah, I mean, the easiest thing, just Google Max Boost and the Power Ups. There's only one of me out there. You can find me.
So any have you done a live show? Have you had any plans for like a live show or anything? Or
yeah, so I've done a few. I'll just show you real
Okay.
quick. So this is like my sort of live rig right here that you're seeing. I've got this MIDI controller. You might have seen this in some of my videos.
Yeah, I have.
A couple of my keyboards and synthesizers mounted on it, and then like down here, all my soundboard is like mounted on this table. And so, yeah, I've played a few live gigs, not very many. I'm still just getting my feet wet. I played a Porch Fest a couple weeks ago. I got a gig coming up at a coffee shop in a couple weeks. Yeah, it's it's been a journey for sure, trying to figure out how to take my stuff, which is like heavily layered, and play it live by myself.
Right.
But I'm working on it, and I've been rehearsing a lot. So yeah, the last show I played was probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I played like an hour set, and then I'll be playing this like 2-hour set at a coffee shop coming up here soon.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's
I hope to
awesome.
play more. I'd love to play like house parties and breweries and that kind of stuff. Like I have my own PA system or whatever, so I'm just like a little bit over it. I got a little kid. I'm a little bit over the like sort of, play at midnight at a, dive bar or whatever. I did that for years. I'm just kind of a little bit over that these days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say that was one of the reasons, I've took a break from a lot of that stuff. It was, bar after bar after bar, and we were clicking along pretty good. But, when you rehearse at 11 o'clock in the morning, and then, you get to the bar at 6, and you're there till 3 or 4, and a 50-mile drive back to the house. And I was like, hang on a second, man. This is, and then the whole scene, for me anyway, it got to be too much, So now, if I do anything live, I'll try to get one of the small theaters or something like that instead of just going to a bar. And the bar stuff is all cool. We just did a live show for one of the local Huntsville bars. Where they set up a camera and everything, which was cool. But sometimes it gets to be like, okay, this is especially once the alcohol and everything else gets flowing, it's like, okay, this is too much, But like for your, when you're doing your live, performing live, and you're looping everything. I mean, I would imagine that like your timing is a little kind of critical, or you just kind of let it flow, get your drums, get your bass, and then flow into the song, or you real like a tactician where it's got to click here, click there, or when you're doing like your live stuff, or you just kind of like flow it like, okay, I'm the DJing, but I'm the beatbox myself. I'm doing my own thing.
Right. Yeah, so I try to do a mix of each kind of thing from one song to the next. So I have some songs where like I have the sort of structure is more or less set, and I'm just
Right.
trying to like, I might record one or two loops, but mostly I'm just sort of playing the guitar and singing it like in the pre-written song structure. And so I'll do that for a couple of songs that are just like more require that. But for the majority of the things, I'm doing more like slowly building it up. Like I got this. It's a little bit complicated to switch between the guitar and the bass, but I'll just take my guitar and sort of swing it around on my back, play the bass line, set the bass down the thing, play a rhythm guitar part, then play a little thing on the keys, and then I'll start singing and maybe play a second guitar part while I'm singing.
Right.
But I try to do a mix of that because like the live looping is really fun. It makes it spontaneous and it's like kind of cool to see. But like if you do every song like that, it takes a minute, to get into like singing the verse of the song. And sometimes like I just feel
Right.
like that's too much to do for a whole set like that. So some of it'll just be like I'll just click play, it'll play some of my backing tracks. I mean, it's all music that I had played, but I'll just play the backing tracks and just kind of get into it and then play the song start to finish without a whole lot of messing around for a couple of songs. Just so I don't, keep the crowd sort of just like waiting for every song to build.
Right. Right. So
So
it doesn't kind of stagnate.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of a flow to it. But it's something, when you're looping, I've never tried it before. I never tried to, I've recorded, of course, but I never tried to do like a live or
Right.
any kind of situation where I got a loop pedal and I'm recording a spot, and then at a certain point, I'm killing that track, and then it starts looping, and then you got to think, okay, what I
Yeah.
got to do? Then my mindset is, once I hit that, it's like I got to get the next thing, and what's the next thing that needs to happen during to build the song up together, you know. And so I've seen it done before, and it's just it takes a lot of, for me anyway, with my the way my brain is wired, it would take me a long time to have the discipline to figure out when to turn on, when to turn off, when to punch it in, when to punch it out, and that's the trick, I think. And then if you've got that down, and you've got something going on, I think anyway, because I couldn't do it. There's no way. There's no way
Yeah. I
I
mean,
could pull it off. So
for sure, it's just it takes a lot of practice, right? Because it's like I have this thing, it's a MIDI controller. This is like it's this
right,
8x8 grid, and that's where I can like record clips into or play clips. And then I got all sorts of knobs that where like I can turn up the echo on my vocals or turn up the reverb on whatever, and like I'll have to do small adjustments and little things, and it's just like adding another instrument to what you're doing because you got to at least have some of that muscle memory to be like this knob does this knob does this,
right,
like sing this part twice and then push the play button. And like I use the software Ableton Live, which it there's things you can program a little bit, so even when you're sort of improvising live looping, it's a little bit easier than like using an old fashioned looper pedal where you have to like click out at the same time. So
right.
I have mine set up like I got a metronome in my in-ear monitors, and when I push the button to record, it actually doesn't start recording until like beat one of the next measure. So I can count like 1, 2, 3, push the button 4. Now I start recording, and then it'll stop automatically at a set point if I want it to. So it's like
Right.
or I can like stop the loop like 3, 4 in the end of my phrase, and then push the stop loop button. But if you don't have to be like right on the stop. It'll start looping based on the metronome rather than exactly when you push the button. So that makes it
Oh,
a little easier.
right. So it gives you kind of a count in,
Yeah.
so kind of prep for what you're doing. Then once you do it, then it throws it all together in sync. That so
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's like, it took me a while to get used to using it because I used to use just like a one button loop pedal, and there, it's just like you hit it and start playing at the same time. With this, it's like you do got to make sure your timing is like you're coming in with the bass line right on the one of the beat, or it'll get cut off and not loop or something like that. But
right.
just like anything else, I got to practice the songs in that live looping version, enough times that I feel comfortable on stage. And then usually when I get up there, I have yet to, perfectly pull off most of the songs. It'll be like usually stuff that the audience won't, notice, but I'll be like, God damn, I meant to like push this thing on or turn that thing down. And, you're up there jamming and like looking at the crowd and like totally forget or whatever, but usually works out all right.
I would say most of the times they don't have a clue because they're just kind of vibing on what you're doing, and I've experienced that too. Like, oh man, we missed whatever, and no one knew it.
Right.
You knew it because it's your stuff. You're like, oh god, that was terrible, and no one cared. They were just having fun. So that's. What about your like some of the costumes you wear, or some of the you got some pretty outlandish stuff, man. Where
I do.
is how do you? What's the process in thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to put on today? And when you do a live show, are you swapping out stuff too, like your headgear, or you just go, you figure out what you want to wear and then you just ride that out for that night, or?
Yeah, so the most of that, like all the outfits, I got like a whole rack of masks and stuff. We can, this is like my mask table back here. All that stuff comes from my wife. She buys it for me. She knows I like to do this stuff. So, she'll just like bring home another whatever, like elf mask or something weird. And like, so it's just fun to have all that stuff. And I don't know. It's like, for me, like my music is just, it's kind of weird. Right. And like, I feel like I can't just wear like, my Memphis Grizzlies t-shirt and like jeans and play. It just doesn't fit my vibes. I gotta, like, my music is out there. And so I try to look out there as a way to, just get in the mood and like connect with people out there for the live shows. Like I got my purple hat that I'll wear sometimes, but like I can't do the masks and stuff because especially, because I'm switching between the guitar and the bass. Like it's annoying, but like I can't get the bass strap back over my head if I'm wearing my mask with the horns without getting it cut. So that's always like a consideration. But I really love doing the like, the last couple of years I've done weird Christmas songs and Halloween songs that are, some weird, like my last two Christmas songs were more like weird, like pagan fairy jams. And so I put on my like Renaissance fair costumes, and for Halloween, I put on my Halloween stuff. And for other times I just like try to look goofy, like I'm a huge fan of like Parliament Funkadelic and like Primus and those guys too. And like Parliament Funkadelic, they were all about like everyone on stage looked like fucking space alien or whatever, right? They all had these crazy get-ups on. And like Les Claypool will do that. He'll put on his like pig mask or whatever. Right. I'm a big fan of Buckethead, and he's like, his whole thing is a character. So it's just all that, inspires me to just try to do something a little bit extra,
It's visually entertaining as well. I mean, it's what's the word I'm looking for? Like visual entertainment, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's like a diverse thing. It's a very creativity has to be there, and that's what I personally can appreciate for what you're doing is you get all these ideas, and it's not a static thing. It's I jump from my camera and put my strobes on, play a rock and roll guitar. That's one thing, that's all I do. You get these ideas. I'm like, how do you, what's the next level to record something to make it look, look that cool and that fun and, and stuff like that. And that's where kind of I think that's what kind of your brain is wired to do,
Yeah, it is. And I mean, it's like, I talk to a lot of other like musicians that are trying to, I don't know, grow a following online or stuff. And people complain like, I hate like making content and I hate making videos and stuff. Like, I just want to make music. But for me, like, I felt like that at first. But once I just started doing it, I was like, this is fun. And it's just like it's a whole nother element to my art, right? It's like I come up with these weird ideas for songs. Right. And then I'm like, how can I perform this? How can I like demonstrate this in a way that's like equally as like fun and creative? So it's just, that's just like I'll make these videos and I have fun doing it. And like, I don't care if nobody watches it, because I'll just like, I'll do this thing and I'll look back and I'm like, yeah, I look fucking weird. And like, just, I'm jamming and having fun. Like, that's just what I want to do. And so, I don't know where like the ideas come from. I'm just you know, I got all this cool stuff in my studios, masks that my wife and outfits that my wife buys for me, and like sometimes I'll like that stuff will feed into another song where I'm like, I got this like cool like weird you know fantasy creature mask. Like, can I write a song that goes with that and like be this character and stuff?
Right, right. It's some, I gotta say, it's definitely some cool stuff. When Henry kind of turned me on to all this, and I was like, oh, this is, yeah, I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. It's really, really, I think it's really cool. And uh, like I said, I'm signing up. I'm on board, man. I'm ready to
Awesome.
ride the spaceship a little bit, see what happens. I think it's gonna be cool as hell. Uh,
Yeah, when I was talking to people, because some people where I work were asking me, "Oh, well, who are you guys gonna have on tonight?" Because they follow the channel and everything. And
Right.
I said, well, I'm gonna have Max Boost back on, and we're gonna talk to him. And they're like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "You ain't never heard or seen anything like him. Y'all might as well check it out."
Check it
And
out.
you know, and I'll say go to YouTube, check out Max boosting the power ups, and watch a couple of his videos. You'll you'll get it when you see him. And I said they're like, well, what kind of music does he do? I said he does all styles. I said what he does is he takes all the styles and he puts his own take on it, and he's an original cat. And I said, and he's authentic. And that's the problem with music today is there's not a whole lot of authentic cats in it. I said, but this dude gets it.
Right,
So
right, right.
yeah. So I
Thank
got
And yeah, that's what I try to
no
do.
problem. Well, it's working, brother. I'll tell you that, man. It works out real well. I got one more question before we land this plane.
All right.
So this is the big one. So what lies next for Max Boost and the power ups? Like, what are you have any works in the future? I know we talked about shows coming up and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure I have a fairly solid plan for what my next two albums are going to be. So I actually tried to like think that the very last song on a Mission, it's got this lyric in it that says, I hope you enjoyed this funky walk in the park because next time around we're getting heavy and dark.
Heavy
And
and
that's
dark.
actually like supposed to be foreshadowing for what my next album is. I already have probably 5 or 6 of the songs written, and it's going to be a little bit more like the one before was. The Remains to Be Seen. Definitely a little heavier, probably more heavier than that album. A little bit less bluesy, a little bit more like heavier rock. But I don't know. I might have that album finished by the end of the year this year. I would say I have it about halfway finished, and there's some cool stuff on that one. I got one where a coworker of mine, he's this scientist guy. He's kind of out there like me. He always is talking to me about like aliens and stuff, but like from the perspective of like this PhD biological scientist. And he was talking to me one day, and I was like, hey, "Have you ever thought about recording some spoken word vocals?" And he was like, well, "Yeah, for sure." And he's got this like really like deep voice. So I just had him come over in my studio, and he recorded this like cool little, I don't even know, it was like a totally like stream of consciousness sort of like spoken word piece. And I just had him record that to no beat or anything. And then I like worked that into the song, wrote some other vocals and heavy guitar. Almost got kind of a Tool kind of a sound with the guitars at least, but my own vibe. And then that's one of the songs on it, and I got a couple other of the heavier rock things. So that one will hopefully be coming out this year, maybe this winter. And then even beyond that, I got a probably 5 or 6 more acoustic folky songs that'll be on some kind of EP or album. So the very last song on my mixtape, I think, is called Walk Into My Fire, which is like a more old school rockabilly kind of acoustic jam that I recorded a demo of. And that one will be probably the lead single on a future album someday.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, man,
You can
when
listen to
those
that mixtape CD and get a flavor of what's coming next.
definitely, I gotta take it down off the wall because I gotta remains to be seen, and
Right on.
the mixtape went up there, and I had it on a mission up on there, but I took it down since we were featuring since this is your latest release and we were featuring this one. I went ahead and took that one down, but I'll get them down and listen to them again. But when those CDs drop, man, you gotta you gotta come back and we gotta talk about those too, man.
Sure, man. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, dude, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and it's certainly a pleasure to meet you. And definitely a big fan of what you're doing, man. I think it's pretty cool, and that's like that's coming from you know, I'm a old school punk rock guy, you know, but I think what you're doing is pretty awesome, and I'm sure you know we'll definitely keep in touch, you know, for sure, and
Sure.
love to have you back on and talk about more stuff because you're you got so much stuff going on. It's just, you know, let people know what's going on and what your plans are, especially when the new stuff breaks. Give us a holler, and
Will do. Yeah,
have
for
you back
sure.
on the show for sure, man. Because you're a talented, interesting guy. I got to say that, man. And
Thank you.
we appreciate your time and for coming out and kind of rapping with us. So I think it's definitely pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Thanks for inviting me on. This was super fun for me. I don't get to do this kind of thing very often. So it's super cool, y'all, for having me on here. I love the show. I check out all your other interviews. And Henry, I see a lot of your bass guitar videos and stuff.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. But yeah, all right, guys. So this is Henry Horror here signing off with my co-host Johnny Noise and our special guest today, Max Boost. And we will see you in the next video.
Next video. We'll see you guys soon.
Later.
Be cool, brother.